Joining us now to break it all down, Saul Weisenberg, Fox News contributor and former deputy independent counsel, and Mike Davis, former clerk to Justice Gorsuch, president of the Article 3 Project. Saul, you've had a chance to review this, think about it, all the facts that led up to this. What's your take?
Well, one take is that the grand jury, which is so often called a rubber stamp in our system, was not a rubber stamp here because they voted a no bill. They refused to indict on one of the three original counts. So that says to me they considered this seriously and pushed through two counts and nixed another one. But in no sense, I think, can you call them a rubber stamp grand jury. I agree with you, Laura, even in the best of circumstances, a perjury or a false statement prosecution is tough. And you're going to have probably a lot of hostile witnesses, what we call adverse witnesses, testifying for the government. But if the government believes, and if the prosecutors believe that it is a case that a reasonable and rational jury would convict beyond a reasonable doubt, then it's their duty to bring it. It's the prosecutor's duty to bring it. We don't know if that happened here, but that's the presumption.
Now, Mike, I do find it fascinating that Andrew McCabe's word will be dispositive in this case, will it not be, on the question of intent, or I guess inferred intent in this instance, on this question of leaking?
Yeah, I mean, we need to step back and remember this. Crossfire Hurricane is one of the greatest scandals in American history. The Democrats politicized and weaponized law enforcement and intel agencies to go after their political opponent, Donald Trump, and to help their political ally, Hillary Clinton, and cover up her corruption. And when the Senate Judiciary Committee was investigating this, which is part of its crucial oversight duties, James Comey lied to the Senate Judiciary Committee in 2017 and then lied again to the Senate Judiciary Committee in 2020. And for a sanctimonious person like James Comey, who's told us that prosecuting even small lies matter, he's getting justice here. And yeah, it's going to come down to, do they believe Andrew McCabe, who's also a snake, or do they believe James Comey?
Saul, Hakeem Jeffries weighed in this afternoon. So you got the top Democrat leadership. Listen closely, because unless I'm missing something, it seems like there is someone who's above the law. Watch.
Donald Trump and the administration continues to weaponize the Department of Justice and go after perceived political enemies in a manner that's inconsistent with the rule of law in the United States of America. It's outrageous.
Saul.
You know, Bill Barr once said about Jim Comey, he not only thinks he's the smartest person in the room, he thinks he's the holiest person in the room. And that's kind of the problem with him. He thinks everybody who disagrees with him is a reprobate. And he ended up conflating himself with the law, just like J. Edgar Hoover did. The statement by Jeffries you just read makes absolutely no sense to me. And I'll tell you something else. They're going to go after him. Obviously, they're going to file motions for a vindictive and selective prosecution, and those will either work or they won't. But Comey reminds me a lot historically. I'm going back in history. Alger Hiss, if you remember the great debate between Alger Hiss and Whittaker Chambers, and Alger Hiss was the witty, urbane former Supreme Court clerk, and Richard Nixon, who was an up-and-coming congressman, actually literally urged the New York federal grand jury to indict Alger Hiss. So there were certainly all kinds of improper statements there by him, but he was indicted, and guess what? It went to a jury, and he was convicted of perjury. So we're going to let the facts determine what happens here. But make no mistake about it, this will be a difficult prosecution, and we still don't know for sure who person number 3 is. We think it's McCabe in the indictment, but we don't know for sure. There's going to be what's called a bill of particulars filed, and the government will have to provide more information. So stay tuned.
Mike, I want to go to the possible motions to dismiss here on the part of the defense. I mean, he has Patrick Fitzgerald representing him, old buddies from the Southern District of New York. They worked together. Fitzgerald went after, everyone from Conrad Black to, I think, didn't he also work on the Martha Stewart, did some of the Islamic terrorism cases? He's a smart guy, no doubt about it. But we have a situation where the president of the United States did, release some communication on Truth Social. Looks like it was addressed to Pam Bondi, telling her, get going on this. So that is going to be the basis of one of the major motions to dismiss on the part of the defense, is it not?
It could be. It shouldn't work. Remember when President Trump filed motions to dismiss for selective prosecution, the Biden Justice Department responded with their response to the motion. I think the Trump Justice Department can use what Biden used, right? And with this selective prosecution or this malicious prosecution, remember the grand jury also saw President Trump's truth post before the grand jury decided to move forward with the indictment.
Saul, do you agree with that?
Well, he's going to raise it, that it was selective or vindictive, and it'll be a real issue. I think it's worth pointing out that sometimes when the president goes on Truth Social, particularly like he did here, you're creating material for the defense. And maybe those conversations shouldn't have been so public. We'll just have to see.
I think he's hoping Comey, he becomes like Kimmelled, like he's the martyr for the the legal establishment. So he's elevated in stature because Donald Trump is going after him. We'll see how it goes. Saul and Mike, thank you so much. Great to see you both.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.